The next thing I had to do was start telling people about what had happened. So I decided starting first, I would tell my parents. When this was a year later, I kept everything secret for a full year. And when I told my father, he was sitting in the basement, in his office, in the house where I grew up. He was sitting in a desk chair that I used to play in as a little kid. I loved that desk chair for one reason, because when I was a kid, it didn't have springs. So instead of just leaning back, it would fall back and catch you. So it was a game to play when I was bored. And my dad was sitting in that chair, and I saw him, and I was like, that's my childhood right there. And on his desk, because my dad was a health educator, he was teaching at Queensborough Community College, or Kingsborough and Queens. That night, his course that he was teaching was on HIV. And on his desk were the notes he was going to give. So in front of me, there was my future. I can't really remember what it was like when I said, how I said, what I said. But I remember his response. His arms were across his chest. He didn't move a muscle. And all of a sudden, the chair fell back. I bruise you, you bruise me. We both bruise so easily to let it show. I love you, and that's all I know. My dad asked me not to tell my mom, but these secrets were killing me, and I didn't want my secrets to become somebody else's secrets. So I told my mom later that day. I really wasn't going to do it. I just said I need to sign. When we get to the Cedarhurst train station, I was going to take the train back, and we're sitting in the car, and it's a cold winter day, and I'd read the schedule wrong on the platform, on the train schedule, so we had 20 minutes to fill. And so instead of being on the platform, my mom and I sat there in the car, and we talked. Over my shoulder, coming out of Al Starner's restaurant, was her best friend. Over her shoulder, on the platform, was my friend David Spencer from my HIV group the night before, who was catering at a synagogue in Cedarhurst, and he was waiting for his train. David Spencer, Laura Epstein, me and my mom, flanked by angels. My mom was sitting in the car looking at me, and I said, I have HIV. And a tear just found its way down her cheek and stayed there on her jaw. And I watched the tear reflect in the street lamp on the platform of the train station. And it fell on her collar, and it spread. She said one sound. She said, oh. 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 All my plans have fallen through. 'Cause all my plans depend on you, to help them grow. I love you, that's all I know. And then she said the best thing of all. She looked at me and she said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We'll give you money. And I got a toaster in the mail next week, too. Really good. Many years later, 4 years ago, I was sitting in the hospital room with my dad, and he was dying of cancer. Quite suddenly. The family had gone home. They're on Long Island. They're here tonight. They're all here tonight. But they went back to Long Island. And I stayed there with my dad. I loved being there late, after hours. And we were watching the Yankees beat the Red Sox for the last time in history. Sorry, Morgan, I know you're a Red Sox fan. And I kept waking him up, saying, yeah, Derek, yeah, me and my dad, see, and I kept thinking, maybe I should say something now, have that conversation. But he knows everything there is to know. In fact, one of the last things he ever said to me was, I love you more now than I ever could because I know you. I know everything, and I love everything. When the singer's gone, let the song go on. It's a fine line between the darkness and the dawn. They say in the darkest night there's a light beyond. I was always waiting for my blessing because I was this good little Hebrew school kid, and I always believed, the Father gives the Son the blessing. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I wanted mine. All right, there's Jacob. I wanted my blessing. And everybody was called into my dad's room the next day, one by one, and my dad asked my twin brother if he would name the baby that's going to be born after him, and my dad talked to my sister, and my dad talked to my brother. I'm waiting for my turn, and he called me in, and he said things to me that nobody knows. He told me some secrets. He told me secrets that he wanted to reveal. And I realized that's the blessing. Because you're blessed in the Bible according to your capacity. And he knew that I was someone who would just receive his confessions because he received mine so many years before. But the ending always comes at last. Endings always come so fast. They come so fast, but they pass so slow. I love you, and that's all I know. I love you, and that's all I know.